What's up, everybody? It's George Carmi from Full Press Commanders. We're talking preseason game 2. Let's get it on. What's up, everybody? Thank you for spending your Thursday afternoon with us. My name is George Carmi, host of the Full Press Commanders podcast. I'm here with my man Dion from Red Zone in the Lab. How you doing, bro? How's it going?
Good. Deuce is good. I'd rather Deuce.
You like Deuce better? All right, cool. I'll call you Deuce.
Good.
Sounds good. That's perfect.
Thanks
cool.
for having me, man. How you doing, Braden? Thanks for having me.
Of course, man. Definitely Deuce is one of my boys. He's one of my Commanders brethren, and I also have a full press coverage brethren with me today too, man. I got Braden Holick from the Full Press Chiefs in the building. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing really well. Thanks for having me today, and I can't wait to talk ball, Commanders, Chiefs too. Can't wait to get started.
I'm pumped about it, man. So definitely, Braden's a very knowledgeable managing editor for Full Press Coverage. He writes a lot of articles on the Chiefs, constantly putting out content. He has his own NFL Weekly podcast that he hosts himself. So we definitely got some good things going on here. So, guys, we all come together because obviously the Commanders are going to play the Kansas City Chiefs on Saturday. And, I just want to kind of get some enemy intel. And I figured to tap into Braden and his knowledge right there. So, we'll start off with the big basic. We'll start off with the big umbrella. So Braden, coming from Washington, we don't really hear a lot of Kansas City talk. AFC West is a little bit different from the NFC East. And what's the big narrative out of Kansas City's training camp? Like, I know you guys are always winning over there, but is there any depression or anything going on over there? What's going on in Kansas City? Let us know.
Just kind of what is the wide receiver production going to be like this year? Sans Tyree. That trade was one personally I did not really see coming. Kind of escalated quickly of teams being interested, and then sort of just happened. So a lot come through. McCole Hardman's kind of been in these kind of lower niche roles, so to be interested forward. A couple big free agent signings with Juju Smith-Schuster and Marquez Valdes-Scantling. I mean, this was a really fun draft class, but I don't know if there's any pick that I like more than Sky Round out of Western Michigan. So just a lot of new faces in that wide receiver room, kind of seeing more balanced, maybe a little more unpredictable compared to just looking at Tyreek Hill, Kelsey first read all the time. So I think that's kind of the big narrative that everybody's kind of looking for.
Gotcha. Okay, so definitely you guys are a little bit worried about maybe your offense and your wide receiving core. So what kind of led to Tyreek Hill being just traded away? Was just kind of like, were you kind of hoping for that as a Kansas City follower, or like did that just come out of nowhere, or what was the rationale behind that?
I think most. I think it was about a couple weeks ago or a couple weeks before the trade. It seemed path each side for contract negotiation, and I think it was maybe the Devontae that probably along with the Christian Kirk signing that really kind of quickly offset the market. Was already kind of in the ballpark where he wanted, but once he saw those numbers, quickly cash in. So I think overall, just Kansas City knew, I think, where's at the highest. He just wasn't going to fit in their plans anymore, and it off guard. But I think kind of looking at everything that's happened in this offseason, a little more sense maybe what kind of plan they have.
Got you. So how does Patrick Mahomes react so far? Are he kind of like, is he recovering? Is he doing pretty well? Is Juju having a good camp? What's going on so far?
Yeah, I honestly say of all the wide receivers, probably Juju's. He has missed the last couple of days with the sword, but it doesn't really sound anything. Kind of a perfect offense for him, get out of that sort of pop gun offense in Pittsburgh, maybe a little more free release, some chances for explosion. What he's had the last, even Sky Moore, I think he's really kind of come into his own as far as just how he's going to be used in the offense. No one's maybe going to replace the ability of Tyreek Hill, but I think if there's somebody that's maybe going to be, I'd say it might be the rookie this year and Sky Moore.
It seems like Sky Moore's a popular topic over there. Dion, what do you got?
What do you think of OBJ? It seems like he's really looking at as a number one receiver. Well, number one wide receiver. We know who the number one receiver is in Kelsey. But I was a little concerned about that. But to see that the Kansas City is really high on him being a number one wide receiver. What is your thoughts on that? Am I just looking at it wrong? Am I reading it wrong?
No, I don't think you're reading it wrong. I think the biggest thing is kind of maybe environment, maybe one that suits his skills a little bit better. And I think just seeing him maybe in a little bit more of an attacking offensive role, vacating space and trying to push the pace as much as they can. I think that's something that of a pace is what we have seen recently from the Chiefs the last few years. But I think that still could definitely help him more in this environment.
Wait, so if I heard correctly, so there's talks of OBJ possibly going to Kansas City. Is that what you said?
I'm sorry, not OBJ. I meant Juju. You can
Juju. Okay, kind of threw me off a little bit.
Sorry.
Okay. All right, Juju. I thought there was a little connection there. Okay, cool. I didn't realize.
Yeah, sorry, Braden. Juju, but yeah, you knew what I was talking about.
I kind of picked up what you were putting down, but I will.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really. I wouldn't really put it all the way out of the water. I guess, given that most of the moves they made at wide receiver, there's not a lot of long-term signs. Valdez-Scantling's the only guy not on a rookie deal that signed beyond this year. So Juju only. I really wanted to totally put that out of the weeds.
Gotcha. So from what I was reading, I was doing a little research before the podcast. McCole Hardman's the only wide receiver that has actual game reps with Patrick Mahomes going into the season. Is that true?
Yeah. It's kind of crazy given that he's really been used as a complete wide receiver, kind of more of this gadget type with these end bubble screens. So the thing is, I guess the only kind of time that Tyreek Hill missed a game. So if everything kind of goes right for him, this could count him in the final year of his deal.
Gotcha. Okay, interesting. So let's kind of pivot a little bit, right? So Kansas City is known for kind of being one of the most, dominant franchises in the league. Patrick Mahomes kind of walks on water, according to some people, right? We're starting to see that last year, we're starting maybe a passing of the torch. I don't know if you feel that way with the Cincinnati Bengals kind of stepping up a little bit, knocking them out of the playoffs. Is there added pressure to Patrick Mahomes this year with having, being knocked out of the playoffs, with Joe Burrow stepping up a little bit, Tyreek Hill walking away? He signed that monster contract. He is the face of the league, actually. He's pretty high up there. Do you think there's a lot of pressure on Patrick Mahomes?
I think so. So, yeah, I think the biggest thing is maybe just kind of try maybe reshape his image a little bit as far as I think just his play style. We saw in the regular season of him starting to kind of take more of what the defense was giving to him. And so I think it's just kind of taking that next step on kind of the decision side to talk about playing more of a natural firm basis this year. So I think he's been kind of working on getting his lower half more stable. I think it's more just in a weird way, the basics and fundamental bit. I think just the AFC West, obviously, in general, I mean, it's just chock young quarterbacks, a lot of franchises that kind of like, kind of in no man's land for a long time. Kind of got a good share thinking about those and teams like that. So I think that's kind of the big. A lot of other young, even playing field right now.
Gotcha. Interesting. Deanne, you got anything?
Yeah, Jerick McKinnon signing. I really like that signing, that pairing with Mahomes. I think he really can be another shiftier player, like you say. They trying to, put together a group of people to kind of get that production that you all kind of lost from the cheetah, I like to call him. How is he looking in camp and McKinnon?
Yeah, he's doing really well. I think what last year when he kind of got a chance in the playoffs was that this was kind of the play style that I think a lot of people for an Andy Reid offense as far as the running back position, kind of that juice and that balance that really had. I mean, even Kareem Hunt's kind of biggest year, it was a lot of just broken tackle base. So I think that's just an added element that really no one else maybe in this offense. I mean, there is a 7th round rookie in Isaiah Pacheco who has pretty good speed as well. A little bit
heard about him.
Yeah,
a guy that likes to play against contact, but I think it's just for the Andy Reid offense and what he brings.
Andy Reid's one of the most, smartest offensive minds in the league, in my opinion. I think top 3 for sure. Is Clyde's Edward-Helaire still not draftable in fantasy leagues? He killed me last year, man.
And I think the answer probably.
I must be sarcastic. Well, go ahead. What would is he not going to start, or what's going on there?
I think carries, or I think his just overall share in the offense is maybe going to be a little more. I know Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator, kind of talked about he's years as far as his maybe conditioning improving, which is huge for a guy who's missed a lot of time with it. You just kind of talk about kind of being this guy that seemed to be coming out of LSU and just hasn't really been able to kind of tap into that versatility, consistency on the field. So I think it'll be more of a committee approach, especially with kind of what the so far in training camp.
Yeah, Pacheco is looking like seems to be really high on them. A lot of the Kansas City Chiefs that I follow, I mean, they looking at him to be a major contributor to offense. Is that kind of how you see it kind of playing out?
Yeah, he's 2 weeks of training camp. They finished up at their location in St. Joe today. 2 weeks. He was getting a pretty good amount of reps with the starting offense, and it seems like you're kind of lining him up in the slot, motioning him out wide a little bit too. So it's kind of rare, I will say, for this team and this franchise to kind of buy into the hype that I see. Kind of all the hints that they've put out on social media is pretty rare. Yeah, I think definitely he's gonna get a chance right away to kind of get in the mix.
All right, so what I'm hearing is stay away from Kansas City running backs in the fantasy draft.
Yep, that's what I'm hearing.
and potentially dive, but Isaiah a little bit on the sleeper hole over there. I got you. Okay. Does the offense still run through Travis Kelsey or what?
I think so. Yeah, I think what's really been impressive is kind of gain momentum as he's kind of got older. I will say last year he looked a little more banged up, taking a lot of punishment from man coverage and maybe different ways that defensive backs have started. I think it still runs through him, and I think maybe see him in a little bit different, but I think slight alterations as far as maybe used more with vertical routes and compared to kind of what we've seen as far as just sitting in zones and security blanket type stuff. Need that from him this year, but I would say definitely the offense still runs through him.
That makes a lot of sense. And then let's talk about this. It's kind of pivot a little bit. So I love training camp. I love learning about other teams. So I'm looking at your draft class right now, and I definitely dived really deep into the draft, and I was like, there are a lot of players that are on your team that I think I'm really high on. And they actually went later than I thought they would. So Trent McDuffie going in the first round at number 21. George I always mispronounce his name. Kalafdis. He was a great all-around defensive end. Leo Chanel in the 3rd round. I like him as well as a linebacker. Sky Moore obviously is a very shifty slot guy. How's it going so far? What are you hearing out of training camp for the rookie class?
Yeah, I think the rookies, it was a big draft class. I think Brett Veach had only made 6 draft selections in each of the other years. This was kind of new territory for him, and I think just overall this is he's a kind of need. They knew they needed to get more. I think physical and strong. Sounds kind of cliche, but I think they've started to kind of get pushed than what you would think for a team that's been into the AFC Championship game as much as they have. So I think guys like Karlaftis and Leo Chanel, I mean, these are just, I think, relentless guys. They love physicality. So it's kind of a different breed of rookies, but I think just the guy only sound, love to be physical, and I think they're just they're going to get a lot of defensive guys, which kind of new under Steve Spagnuolo to see that. He's kind of always been a little more
old school,
I guess, to let them get going, but this is a group that they have to kind of just learn on the fly. If they fail for going as early as they can.
Deuce, you got something?
Yeah, man. Williams, Joshua Williams from Fayette. I love him. I think he was a heavy contributor. He was there. He was a solid starter. He made a couple first teams in college for that position. And I don't know, how's it looking with Fenton? I know I like Fenton better in the slot. I know a lot of people like him on the outside. I like him better in the slot. But is Joshua the first corner off the bench? Is he going to be nickel, or is Fenton going to move in when you all go like nickel coverages?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because Fenton is really only practiced about the last nursing a shoulder injury, so he's not really practiced a lot since coming off the PUP. I would say with Joshua Williams, I think they're going to kind of let him be on the outside for the most, like his kind of bigger stature, compared to somebody like a McDuffie on the outside right now. And I think just seeing what he's been able to do in camp is foot the line of scrimmage and make a lot of, kind of throws become contested that you really don't expect. So, yeah, I'd expect kind of Williams to stay on the outside. And honestly, I kind of agree with you on in the slot when he came to Kansas City. I think he's actually a little bit better there. But I could see him moving around maybe. But I wish he did kind of have a little more.
Yeah.
All right. So before we pivot to the preseason game, I'll do one more like roster construction kind of question. So obviously wide receivers, what we keep hearing nationally that's going on with Kansas City. Is there another position group or another like side of the ball that you're really concerned about over there?
Yeah, I think the defense, it's always interesting to see how guys like Frank Clark and Chris Jones, Frank Clark, lost a lot of weight. I don't know how many people out there kind of changed his diet, took out alcohol and red meat. So when he showed, I thought it was like a wide receiver wearing 55 or something like that. It's crazy to kind of see how he. I think the depth they brought in, I probably feel better about it now than what I did, but I still think defensive tackle that's a little more worrisome to me maybe than.
All right. Cool. I got you on that. So let's kind of pivot a little bit. We have a game in 2 days. That's what we're here for. So going into the preseason game, I'm sure Washington's probably a little bit more concerned going into Kansas City than Kansas City is receiving Washington over there. But what are you hearing through like the whole radio and through the grapevine? What like are the starters expected to play? Is this more of like a dress rehearsal for Kansas City? What do you see over there?
Andy Reid announced today that the starting offense will probably play the first half. He's kind of as for not always necessarily sticking to those plans in the preseason games, just depending well they perform. I mean, if he sees what he kind of wants to in the first quarter, I think at the most it looks like they'll play the first half. So what's kind of in quarterback position is veteran Chad Henne, who's kind of been the backup every year. Mahomes, Boucher on the practice last year. Might be getting a chance to back up Mahomes. So that's definitely not a starter to watch. The backup plan, but this week we'll see a lot more of them than you did last week. Most of these starting, so maybe see them open a little more stuff like that.
It makes sense, right? Open up a little bit more, maybe, one half, see how the offense provides over there. Deuce, you got a question, bro?
Yeah, I want to see Skylar more. I know he's, he's someone that I was kind of high on coming out. I know hopefully he'll contribute. I know it was a little shaky and like doing voluntaries, about his reps coming in, but I'm guessing that he'll play a lot. But my question is will he be playing with the first team?
Yeah, I think he probably will get a little bit more reps to the second team last week. So I think maybe just kind of getting him more mixing him up with Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Juju Smith-Schuster. I think just kind of getting Rio kind of going together. I think maybe we'll see a little bit more of that this time around.
Do you think collectively MVS, Juju, and Sky Moore can replace Tyreek Hill and move the ball constantly? What do you think?
I guess Valdez, I think one this off out more of a guy. He's definitely excited about.
You're breaking up a little bit, so I can't catch this one.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Yeah, I think seeing him in a consistent role is going to be just. I don't know if they can replace him necessarily production wise. Interesting is maybe just how those guys use a little more balanced the field rather than just like a deep, quick passing game like it was constantly.
Gotcha. So more consistency as opposed to deep shots. I can see that. Very good. I got one more question. I'll throw it back to Deuce. How is the coaching staff being received in Kansas City? Is Andy Reid still viewed in high regard, like Steve Spagnuolo on defense? Like, is there any controversy or any burning questions in Kansas City?
Once the season starts, it's always kind of interesting to Spagnuolo and Bieniemy. I just think, after last playoff second half, I think Bieniemy is kind of viewed a little bit differently now. I won't say it's completely different, but they're a bit more aware of possibly why I think it's just kind of adjustment type stuff and just carry week after week. So I think sometimes Bieniemy's received a little. Spagnuolo generally is consistently kind of liked. I think just with how the defense kind of came in after how badly they were in 2018. So yeah, I think his coaching staff kind of held in high regard. I think there's some stuff roster construction wise, scheme once in a while that I think people think they wish was different once in a while, but hard to kind of argue with their results for sure.
That's a good feeling to have, man. It's great. Deuce, what's up, bro? Go
ahead. Where are we with Orlando Brown Jr.? What's his relationship like?
He's kind of talked like he wants to kind of stay with Patrick Mahomes for the rest. It's always going to be interesting to see, because actions always speak louder than words.
Exactly.
I think the biggest thing for him is just, how among the left tackle hierarchy, not really playing there more than one full season. I think it was really encouraging to kind of see him come into training camp after he ended in good shape. I think he cut a lot of weight. Kind of mentioned some of the activities he was doing different this tennis. So I think there's just kind of a different approach to his game, and he's looking to kind of says he wants to be in Kansas City long term, but it's going to be interesting to see how large was here.
Very good. All right, cool. We have two more questions for you. Then we can open up the questions if you want to ask us anything. So first one, coming from, being a Kansas City, managing editor and following the team, what are you watching for? Like, what do you hope to expect to happen on Saturday?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just seeing if the stretch can. There was a lot of quick reps that I wasn't last week, kind of even quicker than I imagined. So I think just seeing if that speeds off a little bit more this week, especially if they get, a lot of playing time, the starting guys. So I think just kind of the pass rush, can they kind of build off of what was shown a little bit last offensively? Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is just the running back kind of usage. The rotation is there. It doesn't really look like there's a lot of hope for somebody like a Ronald Jones really have a good first preseason game. So we'll see if maybe he can help himself out a little this back position, and probably the pass rush is the biggest things that I'm watching for this weekend.
I didn't even know Ronald Jones went to Kansas City. That's pretty interesting. Okay, nice. So we're looking at running back rotation. We're looking at defensive tackles. Seems it could be a pretty big one. Do you got anything, bro?
Yeah, just Pacheco again. Is he going to get reps with the first team, or we going to have to deal with him with the whole second half?
Yeah, I think I believe he one reception and maybe 2 carries last week with the starting. So I could kind of force feeding him a little bit more in the running game this week, seeing if he can tackles and maybe get through contact a little more than he did last week.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
now him and Skylar Moore, I do not want to see them in the second half.
All right, last question for you, then you can open up the door for us. So last question. So obviously, I think your division is probably the most intriguing one in the league, right? The Raiders, Broncos, Chargers, all you guys. It's going to be a lot of fun. What are your honest expectations going into the season? Are you guys going to run it back, division champs? Like, how are you feeling about that?
I think just kind of looking at the strength of schedules and seeing tougher road trips this year. I feel like it's kind of the Chargers that are set. I don't want to say the biggest cakewalk, but kind of just I think how their schedule is set up. I still kind of think people are sleeping on the Raiders a little bit. I mean, they're still getting just think compared to like Denver. To me, I think this is a more complete team. Had to kind of choose between one of those two to make the playoffs, either as a wild card or the division slightly. I think I'd honestly think the Raiders is who I'd favor. I think it's just kind of, a lot of new faces, and I think that there's just some groups that are maybe others are kind of being viewed as right now.
Interesting. I guess I'll kind of sneak in another question real quick. Is the window closing in Kansas City?
Ooh.
I guess to answer that, I think the biggest thing that the Kansas City Chiefs have kind of reinvented their core quickly. So I wouldn't maybe it's maybe just going to be a little bit of a new look and kind of a new era of a Patrick Mahomes career. So I guess if I had to say if anything was closing, it might be just the old way that this team kind of looks on television every Sunday.
What a seasoned podcast veteran. I like that answer right there. Very good. That's awesome. And honestly, with Andy Reid, you can do anything, right? I think he's an excellent coach. We saw him firsthand in Philadelphia.
Yep.
Offensive, savant. He knows everything, so he's very good. So it's impressive. All right, man. So the mic. Go ahead.
Season when they started 1-5 and they were still able to rattle. I think that's when chance to take a little more notice of just his technique. So yeah, I mean it's kind of easy to see how consistency that he has.
Yeah, he's great. So the mic is yours, bro. You have any questions for us before we sign off? Anything you guys are curious about for Commander Land out here?
Yeah, we were just reading, I guess, coordinators, Ron Rivera. How do you get his seat this maybe be quarterback? What do you kind of view from outlook
I got you. So let me recap that question. So basically, I guess you were asking in Ron Rivera offense, basically with Carson Wentz, how's his seat looking? Deuce, you want to start off with that? You can go ahead.
Yeah, I think his seat is as cool as it ever is. We have to have a horrendous season for his seat to even warm up. First of all, our owner is not in a position to fire him. It doesn't matter. Ron knows that. So as far as his seat, I don't think he is cool as it's ever been. Now, when it comes to the defensive coordinator, then that's a whole different story. But when it comes to Ron Rivera, Scott Turner, he gave him that 3-year deal. I believe that's matching up with Carson Wentz. I know a lot of people saying we could just get rid of him, but I don't think they make that move, and especially extend Turner without having Carson Wentz in the fold at least for 2 years.
Yeah, I think Deuce nailed it right there. I think Ron Rivera, he's more viewed, he's different, right? So Andy Reid is kind of more like an offensive savant. He's going to be like, we're making the plays and be kind of like overseer, he's going to dial things up. Ron Rivera is more of like a culture guy and kind of, he's more of like CEO in Washington. That's the dynamic that we have here. He delegates a lot to his coordinators. I think we like Scott Turner, like at least I like Scott Turner, and I think he has potential. And I think the last couple of years he's been hamstrung with Taylor Heineke and Alex Smith and Dwayne Haskins. It's like quarterbacks are either developed or hurt or whatever it would be, right? So I think Carson Wentz offers upside. I think we're hopeful, but we're also kind of, we're kind of realists here in DC as well. Like we want to see the best out of Carson Wentz, but we don't know what's going to happen. I don't think I think Ron Rivera's fine. I think as Deuce mentioned that like Dan Snyder has a lot of other things on his mind. I don't think he wants to do a coaching search to kind of find one right now. So I think that's one thing. But I think Jack Del Rio's seat is a little bit hot. I think there's so much talent on that side of the ball. He's kind of bringing some unneeded attention on himself through social media as well. I just like it's burning up. It's like, come on, you're not performing and you're kind of chirping a little bit too. You got to cut that out. So I think it kind of like he might be on the hot seat right there. So I actually would be surprised if he came back next year, unless he has like an awesome season. So we'll see.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Rivera going back to Carolina, so it's good to kind of hear that. I guess side, kind of one player I'm actually excited to watch this weekend is rookie running back. What's kind of going on with the whole Antonio Gibson thing? I know they kind of were talking about him on special teams this week. Kind of what's going on with the running back room there.
There's definitely a lot of drama in DC regarding that. I'll let Deuce start off first. I'll jump on it. Go ahead, Deuce. What do you got? Talk about Brian Robinson.
It's been a lot of talk about Antonio Gibson. We know he's had issues putting the ball on the ground. And here comes a preseason game, second drive, his second carry, puts the ball on the ground again. And then we have the rookie from Alabama, Brian Robinson Jr. comes in, and he just looks like he's been in this system for years, right? So that makes the situation even worse. And then the next day of practice, Antonio Gibson is on the punt team, right? Covering punts. But the thing about Ron has always, his philosophy is for the starters, especially the running backs and the skill position players, to rotate between first and second team just to get them kind of, a good core or, with the
exposure.
Quarterbacks. Yeah. So that's all. But him being on punts is totally different. Now he was on punt return today. He was on kick return. I like it. Like he did it in college. I think that would be good for him. But as far as that, I think he's still the lead back. I think Brian Robinson is going to get a lot of carries. But if he puts the ball on the ground on Saturday, then we're having a totally different conversation come Monday.
I think you're justified, Braden, in actually being intrigued by Brian Robinson. You might want to pick him up in fantasy because I do think he's going to start I think he's going to start coming around a little bit because, first of all, he's a refined runner, right? Antonio Gibson was transitioned from a wide receiver from Memphis going over to here, DC. I like Antonio Gibson. I don't like giving up on people in general, and I want him to do well and succeed. But he had 6 fumbles last year, was the highest in the NFL for non-QBs. So it's a perpetual problem. And I was at the first game where we lost to the Chargers because Antonio Gibson fumbled the ball. And I was at the game last week where he fumbled the ball and Carolina scored the very next 2 plays later.
Maybe it's you, George.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't go to the games anymore. So that's one thing. But basically, I think it was actually really cool. I had a previous podcast with Anthony Armstrong. He was a former wide receiver on the Redskins, and he said that like the coaches, like in the NFL, it's a harsh business, man. They let it be known what's going on. So like the fact that he is being put in as a third string running back and turning, in practice right now and returning punts, it's like you better do something, or he's not going to be out, but it's like you're not going to be the starting running back. So I think Brian Robinson's refined. I think coming from the Alabama pedigree is going to be nice. What I like about him, and Deuce kind of mentioned it, is like he sees one. He's a north-south runner. He'll see it and go, but he's not bulky. He's not like a big, he's not like a big brute, right? He got a little shiftiness to him too, so it'll be fun. So he's going to be a touchdown vulture in fantasy. So just keep that in mind. I think so at least.
That's you mentioned the part about kind of transitioning from receiver. I think that definitely gets a little bit forgotten about for him. So yeah, I really liked him. I know there was a lot of people that said if Washington wouldn't have taken him, I think Tampa right behind. So I think they
would have been fun for him.
On that year. But yeah, it's so hard to really trust one bell cow back anymore unless you got Jonathan. Kind of like what I'm hearing there about how you guys feel about Gibson. I guess it's like side now. You guys drafted Benjamin St. Juste last year. How's his health kind of looking this season? And overall in the secondary, who's kind of you guys are looking to step up this season?
Here, I'll start off, Deuce, and I can jump on this one. So BSJ, I liked him. I like him a lot, actually. So last year, it's funny, like Washington's had two like identifiable draft classes the past 2 years, right? Like last year was more like traits based. They got a lot of people that were like height, weight, speed guys, like Jamin Davis in the first round, BSJ in the third round. I got some people, Sam Cosby in the second round. They were just killing the RAS score. Like they were like fast and strong and tall and things like that. So Benjamin St. Juste was like, coming from Minnesota, coming from Michigan. He had a pretty good start to his career, but then he has concussions, and that's an issue. Now, obviously, with all these different things going on. So he missed a good portion of last year. I like him a lot in the slot, and I heard he actually did pretty well earlier in training camp. And just for your listeners in the Kansas City side, Jahan Dotson, our first round pick, has been having a great camp here in DC, and he was playing primarily in the slot and getting open, so cooking all of our cornerbacks. But BSJ is actually long enough to recover when he does get that step on him. So Benjamin St. Juste, we want him to be there, but he didn't play in the first preseason game. He's been in and out of practice, and it's kind of at the point where it's like one or two more concussions kind of is like questionable for his career, which is kind of scary. It's kind of sad to see. And if he can't play, I think we're in trouble a little bit, to be honest with you. Cornerback is probably the position that I'm the most worried about. There was a veteran, Danny Johnson, number 36. Watch him on Saturday. He's going to be the guy running behind all of your wide receivers as they're getting all the yards.
Yeah, that's why I don't want to see Skylar Moore in the second half.
So basically, I like Danny Johnson's number 36. He's a 4-year veteran, so I thought he was going to be okay, but then he got cooked last game. So I'm kind of worried about him. So we'll see. But Deuce, what do you got, bro?
Yeah, Benjamin St. Juste, like George mentioned with the concussions last year, I think they were more precautionary with him. I think he could have played the end of the year, but everything that was going on with COVID, injuries, and we was kind of out of the playoffs, especially after that first Dallas game. It wasn't looking too good because all our injuries. But yeah, he was out there today, so I think he's going to play on Saturday. I'm very interested to see him because he's the big body guy at slot. Now they're kind of transforming to the big body slot guys, and that's what he is. So I'm very interested to see because the taller you get, the less hip movement you have. So I'm very interested to see how he looks in the slot.
Hopefully he's the guy covering Dallas Goedert and Dalton Schultz and all those guys in our division. Yeah. That's the perspective. That's what the vision is for him.
Right. Yeah. And you just mentioned a couple of other tight ends there. Division, I believe, since 2004 is at a different division winner every season. Philadelphia seems like they're getting a lot of hype. I'm not really hearing a whole lot about Dallas. What do you guys NFC East like this year? Is it going to be kind of tight, or is there going to be one team that kind of runs away?
Go ahead, Deuce. You got it.
I'll do Dallas. Dallas lost a lot of key pieces. They lost a lot of linemen. They didn't get better. Dallas did not get better. But their fan base believed that they were so much better than the rest of the division that they're still better, even though they lost key pieces. I think the Eagles got extremely better. I mean, all from draft day and all the way through the draft. I mean, they had a heck of a draft, right? So I think they're very good, but I also think we're good. I also think we're going to be in contention. I don't think Dallas is as far away as they believe, and there is a lot of Eagle hope. Eagle hype. But again, it all depends on Jalen Hurts and if he actually can get those guys the ball. But I think their defense is going to be very strong. But I think it's going to be a 3-team race. But it is the NFC East, so I do think that the Giants at some point is going to play a spoiler with one of the teams.
I think it's going to be a long season. It's going to be like, active contrition, who can stay consistent all year long. I kind of want to stick to my guns. A lot of people are really buying in on the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm not necessarily buying into the hype. They were 1-7 against winning teams last year.
Yeah.
They beat a lot of like backup quarterbacks. I mean, they couldn't really even like pass the ball truly. They had to kind of rely on the number one running game in the league last year by even having a running quarterback. I like Jalen Hurts as a person. He's a good leader, but I don't know if I trust him as a clutch quarterback with passing. So I am kind of have my eye open there. I'm more people I feel like the Commanders community really want to kind of tip the hat to Philadelphia. I'm kind of thinking that the Cowboys are still going to be pretty good. I think they're the number one offense overall last year. They lost Amari Cooper. I understand that, but they still have the best quarterback in the division. If you have that, you're still going to compete. So I think two people are going to come out of our division and go to the playoffs. One division, one wild card. It's going to be between us, the Eagles, and the Cowboys. I'm a little bit concerned though. I kind of had us at 10-7 going into the preseason, but then I saw some reoccurring problems in our first preseason game. I don't want to see it again. Like just for your listeners, third down conversion, we were I think 31st in the league last year, giving up 48% of our third down conversions. We were getting cooked last week. A lot of third down conversions were being put on us, and we still struggle to score. Like even our first team offense, we're moving better, but we didn't like our first team offense. I think we like got a field goal and maybe eventually a 10 shot, but like it wasn't a fluid, I'm putting up 21, 28 points. So I'm kind of worried about that dynamic. We'll see.
Yeah. I guess one other thing I got to ask about kind of the new uniforms. I kind of obsess over jerseys a little too much for every team, but I really like this look. What is your guys' probably favorite jersey or combo that they got now with this?
I love the rebrand. So for one, I'm wearing the Commanders jersey right now. I like this one. They're all pretty solid, but so for me, like there's like legacy fans that kind of like really. I'm born and raised. I've been following this team for like over 30 years, so I'm always gonna like a team. But like people were diehard burgundy and gold. And I like the burgundy and gold, but for me, I'm also like kind of new age too. So I like these white and black jerseys as well. I think the black jersey is probably my favorite altogether. They're gonna have to They're gonna have a blackout game against Kirk Cousins in Minnesota. It's gonna be an awesome game. I can't wait to watch that game. It'll be a lot of fun. But the white jerseys, I think get hated on. I kind of like the white jerseys. I think the helmets are awesome, by the way. They're actually really cool. I see them in person. I think they're going to roll out the white all together, like monotone at first. But when they do white with the burgundy pants, I think that's going to be real fresh. I'm looking forward to that. So that's kind of my combination. But Deuce, what do you got, bro?
Yeah, I can't wait to the all black. Of course, I love all black uniforms. But I'm looking to see I'm looking to see the white top with the different color bottoms. Any bottom. I just want to see
what
it looks like. Yeah, so that's what I'm kind of looking forward to.
Awesome. Cool. I guess one last question I have for each of you guys. You guys can either for Saturday's game or just overall this season. What's kind of one possible breakout name or one guy maybe that Chiefs fans or other fans maybe don't know a lot about that they kind of need to be watching for?
Do you want to go start off, Deuce, or let me do it?
Yeah, you go ahead. Let me think. I'll kind of go a different direction than what you go.
Okay, so I think the easy one, I'll start with the easy one so I won't kill a Deuce on this. So I think Jahan Dotson has basically had a really strong training camp. He was held to without a catch in the first game. I'm keeping an eye on him because I want to see how he develops, because I guess the one knock on him coming out of college was that he struggles with press coverage. But I do want to see him kind of thrive again, because he's had a great camp. And honestly, people are talking about like Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson over here in DC, which is actually really surprising. It's kind of really cool to hear. Cole Turner is a really intriguing tight end for us, but I don't think he's going to play tomorrow. He's kind of had a hamstring issue, but he's pretty intriguing. And we picked up a strong safety, Parker. He played for the Giants last year and even knocking heads in camp and stuff. So we'll kind of see how that goes. I don't even know if he's going to make the team. He's pretty interesting, but go ahead, Deuce. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Cole Turner. You are not going to see him Saturday. He's not going to play, but that's the tight end that we picked up. I'm really intrigued to see him. He can really, his point of attack, he really go get the ball. He can create separation. So that's the guy I'm looking forward to. One of my spotlight players is Curtis Hodges, who's also a tight end, but you won't see him either because he's hurt. We have a lot of injuries in our tight end room. But yeah, Stephen Parker, who George was just actually was able to kind of talk to him to a little bit today at camp. And he mentioned that, because I told he played a good game, he was all over. But his thing was, as he was walking by, he's like, I have to stay consistent, I have to be consistent, make plays and be all over the field, because he is kind of a journeyman. He's been on 17s, but if you look at his profile, so he's actually played for only 3, but he was all over the field. So I'm looking forward to seeing him too.
And then Braden, nice little second half entertainment or a little narrative for you guys is Sam Howell, man. Watching Sam Howell in the second half, kind of see him play. I mean, he had a great first game, and I think it's like at the top of the town. Like, I'm trying to stay level. Like, I am level. I'm like, hopefully Carson Wentz starts all year long. Well, like, there's some Howell hype already starting to bubble. Like, just calm down a little bit. It's not that serious.
Oh yeah.
Cool. All right, fellas, I appreciate your time. It was a lot of fun. So what I want you guys to do is kind of plug your socials, plug what kind of products you're working on, whatever you guys are doing. So we can get our listeners going. So Braden, we'll start off with you, then we'll go to Deuce.
Alrighty, yeah, you guys can follow me on Twitter at Braden Holick 9, name and the number 9 at the end. If you want to follow the Full Press Coverage Chiefs page on Twitter at FPC_Chiefs. We got 53-man roster prediction article. I had the tight end position come out today. Already been a lot of tough decisions. Really excited to see what actual decisions are made for this team. So I got those coming. Really looking forward to kind of writing about some more team previews we have coming out at Full Press. I think I got a few teams next week. So everybody on the staff's been doing a great job with those, and for me right now. Thank you guys for having me.
Of course, man. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. And Deuce, how about you, bro?
Yeah, thank you. You just follow. You can just follow me at Red Zone and Lab on Twitter, all of the socials, wherever you get your podcast, on YouTube, all the social media content is all under Red Zone and the Lab. Season 3 of the podcast just started, so just follow me if you want to get more content. HTCC content is space for all of us. Is all different. It's a variety. I love it. So yeah, man, appreciate it. Nice to meet you too, Braden.
Cool, man. So, guys, you all know me at George Carmi at GCarmi21, host of the Full Press Commanders podcast. You can also find my written work at fullpresscoverage.com. Guys, definitely, if you like the content, please like and subscribe on YouTube. I'm definitely trying to get this to grow. I would have a preseason review after game 2. I'm also doing we're doing around the NFL write-ups. I got the Broncos coming up down the pike for Full Press coverage, and I definitely appreciate you guys listening. So, guys, have a great night. Enjoy the game on Saturday. Peace out, guys.